Here's an options trade that makes its biggest profit when the stock does absolutely nothing. No rally, no crash. The underlying just sits there, and you walk away paid. It's called a butterfly spread, and underneath it sits some genuinely beautiful math. Its profit diagram is shaped like a tent, a sharp peak, and two flat wings. And hiding in that tent is a punchline that trips up almost everyone who trades it. Most people think a butterfly is a bet on where the stock will land. It isn't. It's really a bet on how much the stock moves, not where it goes. And there's an even deeper layer underneath that, which almost nobody ever talks about. By the end, we'll take those two wings and slowly squeeze them together. And we'll watch the tent transform into something that honestly should not be possible. It becomes a single bar of the market's own probability distribution. A trade that literally measures how likely the market thinks each price really is. We'll build the structure one leg at a time, using real strike prices. We'll derive the exact profit, the exact loss, and both break-even points. Then we'll run the payoff, question our own intuition, and hit that final reveal. So let's start with the thing that makes this trade look almost irresistible: the numbers. Let's put concrete numbers on it, using 3 strikes: 95, 100, and 105. To open this trade, you pay a small upfront cost called a net debit. In this example, that debit is $1.25 per share. That $1.25 is the single most you can ever lose on the trade. There's no scenario where it costs you more than that. Your risk is completely capped. Now here's the reward. The most this trade can make is $3.75 per share. So you risk $1.25 to potentially make $3.75. That's a reward-to-risk ratio of 3 to 1, and it's worth feeling how good that sounds. Options don't trade one share at a time. Each contract covers 100 shares. So scale it up. Per contract, your risk is $125, and your maximum reward is $375. Risk $125 to make $375. 3 to 1 with capped downside. On paper, that looks like one of the best bets in all of options. But that headline ratio is hiding something, and it's the key to the whole strategy, because there's a very specific catch in where the stock has to finish. To collect that full $375, the stock can't just be somewhere close. It has to land on one exact price, right at the middle strike. Miss it, and your profit shrinks fast. Miss by enough, and you lose everything you paid. So the real question isn't the ratio. It's how this payoff actually behaves. And to understand that, we have to see how the trade is built. A butterfly isn't one trade. It's 3 separate option trades, stacked into a single position. And every leg is a call option, so let's make sure that word is solid. A call is the right to buy a stock at a fixed price, its strike. If the stock climbs above that strike, the call gains value, dollar for dollar. If the stock stays below the strike, the call just expires worthless. Simple as that. A butterfly uses 3 different strikes, evenly spaced, all sharing the same expiration date. Same expiration matters. On that one day, all 4 legs settle together as a single bet. Our strikes are 95, 100, and 105, spaced 5 points apart. That spacing has a name. We'll call it the wing width. Here it's 5. Now the 3 legs. First, you buy 1 call at the low strike, 95. That single bought call is the left wing of the position. Next, you sell 2 calls at the middle strike, 100. Not 1, but 2. Those 2 sold calls are the body of the butterfly, sitting right in the center. Finally, you buy 1 call at the high strike, 105. That's the right wing. So the pattern is buy 1, sell 2, buy 1, 1, minus 2, 1. That 2 to 1 imbalance in the middle is what gives the payoff its shape. When you sell an option, you collect cash. When you buy one, you spend it. You're selling 2 calls and buying 2 calls, so most of the cash cancels out. It doesn't cancel perfectly, though. You end up paying a little more than you collect. That small leftover is the net debit, the $1.25 from before. And it's worth pausing on why that leftover is a debit and never a credit. The pair of calls you buy straddles the middle. The pair you sell sits right on it. Together, the pair you buy is worth a bit more than the pair you sell. So money flows out of your pocket, just a little, and that little is your entire risk. Now, why the name butterfly? It comes straight from that tent-shaped payoff diagram. The peak in the middle is the body. The flat stretches on the sides are the wings. It's pure visual metaphor. A body in the center, two wings spread out to each side. And here's a promise for the end of this video. That shape hides a secret. Back in 1978, two economists, Breeden and Litzenberger, proved something about it. They showed that a thin enough butterfly doesn't just place a bet. It measures a probability. Keep that in your back pocket. We have to build the whole tent before it makes sense. So let's do exactly that, and figure out where this tent shape actually comes from. To see the tent, we jump forward to expiration day, when all the options finally settle up. On that day, a call is worth exactly what it's in the money by, and nothing more. If the stock is $3 above a call strike, that call is worth $3. If the stock is at or below the strike, the call is worth precisely 0. So let's walk the stock price from low to high and track our total position. We'll add up all 4 calls at each price and watch what the tent does. Start with the stock below 95, beneath every single strike we hold. Every call is out of the money, so all 4 legs are worth nothing. The position is worth 0, and you're simply out the $1.25 you paid. That's your maximum loss, and it stays flat for every price below 95. On the diagram, that's the flat left wing, sitting at a loss the whole way across. Now let the stock rise above 95 into the space between the first 2 strikes. Your bought 95 call is now in the money. The other 3 are still worthless. So above 95, the position gains $1 for every dollar the stock climbs. The payoff line lifts off the floor and starts climbing at a steady angle. Let's check a point. At a stock price of 98, that call is worth $3. Subtract your $1.25 cost, and you're sitting on a profit of $1.75. So somewhere on the way up, the trade crossed from a loss into a profit. That crossing point is your first break-even, and we'll pin its exact value shortly. Now keep climbing until the stock hits exactly 100, the middle strike, the body. Your 95 call is now $5 in the money, 5 points above its strike. And the 2 calls you sold at 100? They're right at the money, worth nothing. So the whole position is worth a full $5, with nothing subtracted by the body. $5 is the wing width, and this is the exact top of the tent. This one single price, 100, is where the whole trade pays off the most. Now nudge the stock above 100, and those 2 sold calls finally wake up. You're short 2 of them, so together they lose $2 for every dollar the stock climbs. Meanwhile, your single 95 call still gains just $1 for every dollar up. $2 lost against $1 gained. The net position now falls by $1 per point. So past the peak, the payoff turns around and slopes back down, falling at the same pace it climbed. Let's check 102. The 95 call is worth 7, but the 2 short calls cost 4. 7 minus 4 leaves $3 of value, minus your debit, a profit of $1.75. Notice that's the mirror image of 98. The tent is perfectly symmetric around 100. Keep falling until the stock reaches 105, your upper strike, the right wing. Now your second bought call, the one at 105, finally comes into the money. This starts gaining $1 per point, canceling the extra $1 the body was losing. The 2 forces balance out, and the payoff stops falling. It flattens completely. Above 105, every gain and loss cancels, and the position is worth 0 again. So you're back to losing just your debit, $1.25. That's the flat right wing. Step back, and there it is. Up from 0 to a peak, back to 0. A tent. Now that we've felt the shape, let's turn it into exact formulas you can reuse. Start at the peak. The tent is worth the wing width, $5 at its very top. But you paid $1.25 to get in, so your profit is 5 minus that. 5 minus $1.25 is $3.75. There's your max profit. In plain words, maximum profit equals the wing width minus the debit you paid. And you only earn it at that one exact price, the middle strike, a single point on the line. Now the worst case, The stock finishes outside the wings, below 95 or above 105. There, the tent is worth 0, and you lose exactly what you put in. So your max loss is simply the debit, $1.25. Nothing more than that, ever. In plain words, maximum loss equals the net debit. Your risk was capped from the very start. Between the peak and the wings lie two break-even prices, where your profit is exactly 0. Think about the left slope. It rises 1 for 1, starting from 95. You needed to climb just enough to cover your $1.25 cost. So the lower break-even is the low strike plus the debit, 95 plus $1.25. That lands at 96.25. Below it, you're losing. Above it, you're finally winning. The upper break-even works the same way, mirrored, on the right slope coming back down. It's the high strike minus the debit, 105 minus $1.25. That's 103.75. Past it on the way up, you slip back into a loss. So your actual profit zone runs from 96.25 up to 103.75. And notice both break-evens sit symmetrically around 100, the same distance on each side. One more formula. The reward to risk is just the max profit divided by the max loss. 375 divided by $1.25 is exactly 3. 3 to 1, as promised. Now let's put that intuition to the test. This next question is a good one to pause on. The wings sit at 95 and 105. Say the stock lands somewhere inside them. Anywhere between 95 and 105. Does landing inside the wings mean you profit? It really feels like it should. The whole tent lives between those two strikes. Take a moment and predict. Inside the wings, guaranteed profit or not? Here's the answer. No landing inside the wings does not guarantee you a profit. You only make money between the two break-evens, 96.25 to 103.75. That winning band is narrower than the full wingspan, 95 to 105. There's a dead zone just inside each wing, where the stock lands but you still lose. Land at 95.5 and you're inside the wing but under the break-even. You'd still walk away with a loss. Inside the tent is not the same as in profit. That gap between the wings and the break-evens is exactly what the headline ratio ignores. So if it's not about landing inside a range, what is a butterfly really betting on? Here's the first surprise. It's barely a bet on direction at all. Every option has a delta, how much it gains when the stock rises $1. Add up the deltas of all 4 legs, and a butterfly's total sits close to 0. Near 0 delta means the position barely cares whether the next tick is up or down. You're not betting the stock rallies. You're not betting it drops. Direction is off the table. What you're actually betting is that the stock stays parked near the middle strike. 2 deeper forces make that bet precise, and the first one is called vega. Vega measures how much the trade reacts to something called implied volatility. Implied volatility is the market's own forecast of how much the stock will move. It's the fear, the expected turbulence, already baked into every option's price. A long butterfly has negative vega, at least near the body, near that middle strike. Negative vega means that when the priced-in fear rises, your position loses value. And when the fear drains back out of the market, your butterfly gains. Your short volatility. The second force is theta, which measures how the trade reacts to time simply passing. Every day, an option loses a little value as it runs out of time to move. Near the middle strike, a butterfly has positive theta. That daily decay works in your favor. So while you wait, quiet time is slowly nudging the trade toward its peak. Direction neutral, hurt by rising fear, helped by calm and time. This is a bet on stillness. But stillness is still a little too loose. Let's sharpen it into the real claim. The stock doesn't actually have to freeze in place. That's not quite the bet. The bet is that the stock moves less than the market expected it to move. Remember, you sold the 2 calls at the body, right at the money. At the money options carry the most time value because they hold the most of that priced-in fear. And the wings you bought, further out, were relatively cheap by comparison. So a butterfly sells the market's expensive fear and buys back cheap protection on the edges. You win when the stock's realized movement comes in under the implied movement you sold. That's the true engine. Not where the stock goes, but how much versus what was priced in. A stock can even drift steadily, and you still win, as long as it moved less than expected. Now we've earned that promise from the beginning, the one about measuring probability. Everything so far kept each wing a fixed 5 points from the middle strike. Let's finally change that. Imagine slowly squeezing the two wings inward, toward the middle strike. The tint gets thinner and thinner, a narrow spike instead of a broad tint. As it narrows, its total value shrinks too, since there's less room under the peak. So we do one more thing. Divide the butterfly's price by the square of its width. That division rescales the shrinking tint, so we can see what it's really converging to. And as the width closes towards 0, that rescaled number settles onto one exact value. Let's actually watch it converge. With a wing width of 5, we get a first number. Compared to the true target, that first estimate is already about 99% of the way there. Squeeze the wing width to 2 points, and the match tightens to about 99.8%. Bring the width to a single point, and you're at 99.96%. Shrink the width to 1/10 of a point, and the ratio is essentially 100%. Dead on. So what is that exact value the butterfly keeps converging to? It's the market's own discounted probability that the stock lands right at that strike. This is precisely what Breeden and Litzenberger proved back in 1978. An infinitely thin butterfly reads off the market's implied odds of one exact price. The trade stops being a trade. It becomes a measurement device, a probe into expectations. Line up butterflies at every strike, and you trace out the market's whole probability distribution. 1/10 per price, each one reporting the odds the market quietly assigns to that outcome. This isn't just theory either. Central banks pull implied probabilities from option prices exactly this way. They read the market's hope and fear for interest rates and currencies, straight off the tents. So the tent you built as a trade is the very same tool a central bank reads as a forecast. So that flashy 3-to-1 from the very start deserves an honest second look. It's a real ratio, but it's deceptive, and now you can see precisely why. You collect the full 3-to-1 at one razor-thin price, the middle strike exactly. And the market's own probability of pinning that exact point is, as we just saw, tiny. Weigh that big payoff by those small odds, and the trade's real expected value is far more modest. There are frictions too. This position has 4 separate legs to open and later close. That's 4 sets of commissions and 4 bid-ask spreads, all nibbling at your thin debit. Near expiration, the payoff also turns jumpy. Small moves in the stock swing your profit hard. And those calls you sold can be exercised early, handing you a stock position you never wanted. That's why most traders close a butterfly before expiration, rather than chase that exact peak. But one elegant guarantee survives all of it, and it's a lovely place to land. A genuine butterfly can never cost you a negative amount. Its value is always at least 0. That falls out of a deep property, the way call prices must curve as the strike changes. Any butterfly quoted for a credit is a bid-ask, fee, or stale quote artifact, not free money. So let's zoom all the way out and keep the one idea that actually matters. Forget the exact strikes, forget the 3-to-1, even forget the tent, just for a second. A butterfly is not a bet on where a stock is going to go. It's a bet on how much it moves, versus how much the market feared it would. Sell the expensive fear at the center. Buy cheap calm out on the wings. You win when reality turns out quieter than the price of that fear implied. And squeeze the whole thing thin enough, and the trade becomes a measurement. A single bar of the market's probability distribution reads straight off the option chain. That's the quiet beauty here. A shape that looks like a simple trade is secretly a probe, a little machine for asking the market how likely it really thinks each future is. If watching that tent turn into a probability distribution clicked for you, you'll like what's next. We take the ideas hiding inside finance and turn them into pictures you can actually see. So stick around for the next one, and let's keep making the math visible.